Welcome back to another BP Builds episode on the Mustang. If you're new to the channel or if this is your first time here, this is a 1995 Ford Mustang Convertible, Ford Mustang GT. But what I'm about to show you applies to 94 through 04 Mustangs, so both the SN95 and New Edge Mustangs. So I just got my convertible top working again, and I kind of just wanted to share with you what I learned and what I did. Just because I was looking online and I'm trying to find some information, and there's some info out there, but not a kind of a complete run through. So I just wanted to kind of run through the entire convertible system, because in case your top isn't going up or it isn't going down or it's stuck or both, there are numerous different things it could be. So I just kind of wanted to show you how the whole system works. I recorded a bunch of videos already, and I fixed everything, and my system works now. So I just kind of wanted to make an intro video to what you're about to watch, and I just wanted to correct myself. Two things. Number one, don't get discouraged that you see my whole interior torn apart. You don't need to do that. I have my interior apart for other reasons. I just got the car, and I'm trying to kind of run through the whole car and fix everything up. Plus the interior had some animals in it because the car was sitting outside for many years, and I just wanted to do a good thorough cleaning. So that's the first thing. So you don't have to take all this apart. You just really need to take your rear seat out and your bottom seat out, you know. And then the other thing I say in the future, which is incorrect, is that on your convertible switch, there's 3 wires to the convertible switch in your center console. I say all 3 have 12 volts. The reason I had that was because my motor had a massive short in it, which was the problem. So really only the middle wire on your switch receives 12 volts. And the way that the convertible switch works is it's switching the middle 12 volts to either your up or your down, you know. So that's how that switch works. So I just wanted kind of to clarify that. And now let's get into it, and we'll kind of run through the wiring, how to check your wiring, how to check your motor, how to check your switch, and your switch here. So let's get right into it. Works. So I've got my center console out, but the basically the incoming power for your convertible top is this big gray connector, and then your convertible top switch, which is this guy. I think it used to say have some print on it, but mine doesn't anymore. It must have worn off. It clips into your center console, and that's this connector right here, this brown one. And I think I need a new switch, number one, because I tested it and it's not working, and I tried gluing it back together and it didn't really work too well. So the glue, I think, may have gotten in there a little bit, but anyway, it's the switch is bad. And what that does is it switches these 3 wires. So you've got a it looks like a purple with a pink, and a gray, and those all have 12 volts incoming. So if you were to take a voltmeter and put the red lead on any one of these 3 pins and the black lead to ground, you would be getting 12 volts on all 3 of these pins. What this switch is doing is it's switching the middle pin to either the right pin or the left pin. So this is what's known as a single pole dual throw switch. So I looked these up. They're about $60 or $70. I'm gonna run to AutoZone right now, and I mean, I'm not a Mustang purist. I don't really care if it's the stock switch. I just want it to work. So if that's your situation, you can just replace this with a 12 volt single pole dual throw switch. And what that's doing is, if you have three wires, you're basically just connecting these 2 together to open the top, and then these 2 together to close the top. That's all it's doing. Or I mean, I might have that backwards. This could be closed and that could be open. But you're basically just switching the wires. So if it's, you know, these 2 wires now have 12 volts, now these 2 wires now have 12 volts. So you have one coming in, and you're just picking where does it go. And where is it going is to this relay assembly. So you have an up relay and a down relay. And so basically right now with the switch in the neutral position, the both leads of the motor are going to ground. When you want the top to go up, you would connect these 2 wires together. And the way a relay works is you have, in this instance, there's 5 wires going into it, and each up and down relay each have 5 wires, and that would be main power in coming from the fuse box, Then you have switched power in, which is coming from our switch. The switch that plugs into these 3 wires. Okay. Then you have power out to the motor. And then you have ground. Okay. So there's actually 2 grounds. So but basically when this motor, when the switch is at rest, the relay ground is grounded basically to the motor, so you're not going to get any movement. But when you have switched power into the relay, what it's going to do is it's going to have the main power in go out to the motor. And we know that the other relay is grounded, so that means you're going to have power on one pin and ground on the other. And now if you want the motor to spin the other way, what it's going to do is it's going to flip. It's going to have ground on this one and power on that one. So basically all you're doing is changing the direction of the motor. With power here and ground here, it goes one way. With ground here and power here, it goes the other way. So that's causing your top to go up and down. So I can simulate that right now. My multimeter would be hard for me to do it with one hand, and my switch isn't working. And I just dropped my other switch. And by switch, all it is a paper clip. So basically, I've taken a paper clip and I've bent it into a little bit of a horseshoe. And all I'm going to do is stick the paper clip to connect these 3 pins. So I might want it to go from here to the. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the middle pin to the left wire, and you'll hear a click, and then I'll have the middle pin to the right wire. So if I can maybe do this, you need to have your parking brake lifted. There's a little plunger, forgive the glare, but there's a little plunger right here. So with the e-brake down, it pushes the plunger, and with the e-brake pulled, plunger comes up. So basically, these relays aren't going to work unless they are switched to ground. So basically, with that up, all right, now our switch is allowing the top to function. So you have to have this pulled. But first, we have to turn the ignition to on. Duh. So now we have 12 volts to all 3 of these wires. You hear it clicking? So that's the middle to the left. Now we'll go from the middle to the right. Okay, so these relays are clicking. So if I'm just trying to maybe go over the system in case you want to troubleshoot the system to see what's going on. So I have my motor disconnected because I believe I have a shorted out motor. I'm about to take it out and fix that. But here's the 2 wires out to the motor. And what you would do is you would put your multimeter, you would put one lead on the right pin and 1 lead on the left pin, put on voltage DC, and you want to see plus 12 volts with the switch in one position, and then you'd want to see minus 12 volts with the switch in the other position. Do not flip the probes. Leave the probes the same. Flip it one way, you'll get plus 12 volts. Flip it the other way, you'll get minus 12 volts. And if you don't get the voltage there, you want to check your relays. If you don't hear that clicking, you want to check the switch. So what I can do is I can put that little paper clip back in the switch. So I'll just put it on. I don't know. I'm not sure which one is up or down. I know they both work. So that my issue, I think, is the motor, not the relays. So you can hear the relays click. So right now the relays are engaged. So I'm going to push the brake. And this one acts it's a little finicky, but sometimes it gets stuck. But if I push the switch, click, click. So this thing is a little finicky, but there. Now I have no power. So with this down, you would have no voltage there, but you would have continuity. Both the red wire and the yellow wire would be continuity to ground, as it sits now, or as it sits now, you see. So I just kind of wanted to go over the wiring of a SN95, 94, well, SN95 and New Edge Mustang, so 94 to 04. So if you're having troubles with your convertible top, that's the electrical diagnosis. That's how you would run through the system electrically. The Fox bodies, I believe, have the relays elsewhere, plus the motor has an external ground. So there'd be 3 wires. There'd be a black, a yellow, and a red. And next, what I'm going to do, what I'm getting is the motor goes real slow. It goes, yeah, it's real slow, going up and down there. And I believe that the motor is bad. So I'm going to tear into that next. All right, so we had a successful trip to AutoZone, and I was able to get this replacement switch. It's not exactly what I need, but it will work. The only thing I don't like about it is it's not a momentary switch. This is a momentary switch. When you hold it, well, mine has some glue in it, so it's sticky, but yours, when you push it, it should spring back to 0. And when you push it, it should spring back to 0. That's a momentary switch. This one is just a regular switch. When you flip it, it stays. So when I replace the convertible top switch with this switch, I just have to remember that when my top is all the way up or all the way down, I have to disengage it. Otherwise, the motor will keep trying to run and you'll burn out the motor. So if you're going to do this, just make sure that you keep that in mind. This switch was $18.99 at AutoZone. Here's the part number there. And it's it comes with you can have a red cover or a blue cover, and it's called the an on-off-on switch, rocker switch. And I think this is an installation tool, but might not be perfect size, but I'm sure I'll be able to come up with some sort of maybe I can make like a little plastic adapter or something and just get it working. But anyway. Okay, fast forward in time here. I just wanted to show you what I did actually come up with for fitting this AutoZone switch into the stock location. So what I did is I took the stock switch, since mine was bad anyway, I just took a real sharp razor blade and I kind of cut the top off the switch, and then I used my Dremel and I kind of ground out the inside of the switch, and I just basically had the casing of the stock switch, and I slid the new AutoZone switch into that casing and just super glued it. So it's not perfect, but it's works just fine. And I can maybe just show you at the bottom of the switch, which is right there, and you can kind of see that you can see how those terminals are kind of recessed into the stock switch casing. So all I did was, like I said, just cut the casing into a shell and slid the new switch from AutoZone into the stock shell. This has 7 pins. You only need 3 of them. If you want to get the lights working, that's kind of useless because the light would only, well, I guess maybe that would be a good safety. You know, if the light is on, that means that you gotta turn it off. You know, because the light would only be on while the top is in operation. You know, so I'm not going to hook the lights up, but basically, it's telling you here. Power in is pin 5 and power out is pin 4 and 6. But in our instance, all we want to do is connect pins 5 to 4, or you know, let's say that's top up, or pins 5 to 6 for top down, or you know, vice versa. So right now I have my multimeter set on continuity mode, and I have the red lead to the red and the black to the black, and I have the red lead as, you know, we're gonna simulate that as power in. So let's pin 5. Pin 5 is power in, and then power out I have on 6. So I'm going to flip the switch this way, nothing, this way. Okay, so now I'm going to flip the switch this way, and I'm going to put my other lead on, that would be 4. There we go. And I turn the switch off. So this switch works. And that's exactly how you would test the function of your convertible top switch. If you want to see if it's working, what you would do is exactly what I did, except you would put the alligator clips. You know, you'd put one on the middle pin and one on the left pin, and press it and see which direction you get continuity, and then you would leave the middle pin alone, and then put the line from the left to the right pin and you should get continuity with the switch pressed in the other direction. And if you're not getting continuity, you have a bad switch. And this one, I don't know. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure if I broke it because I was tinkering with it yesterday or if it was bad, but my top stopped working altogether. So I'm thinking that I might have had a couple issues. I mean, this thing is from 1995, so it's 2021 right now. So how long is this supposed to last? But anyway, so when I get this in the car, I just made myself 3 little wires. So this will be the middle, and then this will be up or down, you know, or whatever, you know, however it works. And if you want this to be up and it's really wired to down, you would just, you know, flip the 2 outside wires, and then you would flip the direction of the switch. Up would be up and down would be down, kind of thing. And then I have these little crimp heat shrink with my heat gun. All right, I changed my mind. I decided to wire up the switch. So I've just got a battery, and I just got some my test leads again, and this is what it'll work. So when the top is up, the light will come on. All right. If that light's on, I know I gotta do something. All right, now I'm gonna put the top down. All right, I know I gotta do something. You know, so the lights will work like that. And let me just unhook. There we go. Unhook that. But you can see what I did here, and I just followed the diagram on the back of the box, and I basically made a ground wire. I don't know where I'm going to grab onto that in the car, probably some bolt or screw, so I just left that one long. And then you have your reds or your so now you have incoming power, because we know we have 12 volts on all 3 wires off the stock switch. So the middle is we'll just say is the one that we're trying to switch. You know, so we're switching the middle to this one or the middle to this one. So I made incoming red, and that's also supplying power to our lights. So all the ground is doing is the ground for the 2 little bulbs, and we have incoming power that we're switching, as well as, and you can see that I put it on a little union there and made it into a T, and we have incoming power to the bulb. All right, and then we have power to the up and power to down, or vice versa. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, and if I have it wrong, we just put this one here and this one there. That's all. So then I've put my 3 little shrink wrap heat shrink connectors. So we're going to just snip the factory connector off, maybe leave a couple inches on it and put it in the glove box, and then we're going to crimp and heat shrink the new connector on. So then we'll be able to have a replacement convertible top switch for 20 bucks as opposed to 75 bucks. So now that you know how to do that, let's go work on the convertible motor. Okay, we're back in the car, and I know I keep talking about the motor, and we will get to the motor. I just wanted to kind of make a video of everything about the convertible top for 94 to 04 Mustang, because if your top isn't going up or it isn't going down or both, there are a few things that could be. So I just kind of wanted to show you everything, and that way you could kind of follow along and troubleshoot and get to a point where you can find what is wrong, you know. So now we have our new switch not soldered, but installed, and here's the old pigtail. So just like I said, I left a couple inches on the pigtail, and I'm just going to keep this for later. I don't know, in case I ever wanted to put a stock switch back in. But the middle wire is the purple with the pink. So I have installed I have installed the purple with the pink to my red wire, and then your gray and purple go to your 2 outers. You know, the 2 outer parts of the replacement switch. Okay, and then my ground, I think what I'm going to do is run it to the ground of the cigarette lighter, this black wire here, and that will get the lights working. But we don't need the lights to prove the operation of the top. What I did here is I have my multimeter set on DC, okay, and I have my red to a red alligator wire and my black to a black alligator wire, wherever I put it, right there, and then I have that going into
the connector. You do not want those to touch. Make sure they're not touching, because otherwise you're going to get a massive short and blow a fuse. So just be careful. You don't want those to touch. Right now the switch is in the neutral position, and you can't see what I'm about to do. Well, maybe you can see how the switch is in a. Okay, it's in the closed position. So I'm going to flip it to the right. Ready? Go. Minus 12 volts, back to 0, and you hear the relays clicking. Now I'm going to press it to the left. Plus 12 volts. Let me turn the light on so you can see that again. Oh, the light was on. 12, 0. Minus 12, 0. Okay, so if you have gotten this far, your entire wiring system and your relays are good. You're good to go as far as electrically. Your fuses are good, your wiring is good, and your switch is good. The only possible thing could be the motor. So I know this is the third time I've said it, but here we go with the motor. So actually, let me just prove it. Prove the operation one, because this could also be your issue. This little dummy switch. Well, not dummy switch. It's just a whatever. It's just that switch is there because you have to have your parking brake on, which that's to make things. That's probably just a lawsuit reason at the Ford factory, so people wouldn't be putting their top down on the highway, you know. So back to now we got our thing on, and I'm just gonna flip the switch to one direction, and we should get a voltage. Yes, so minus 12, and then if I push this button, it should say 0. I'm gonna push it right now. Nothing. I'm gonna let go. We got our voltage back. All right. So right now our parking brake is applied. Our motor will function. Release the parking brake. We have no function. You see. So we just have to keep this little switch in mind. Make sure. And the way you test that is you would just test for continuity between here and here. With the switch. Sorry, with the brake out, you should have continuity. With the brake down, you should not have continuity, and that's how you test that little switch. All right, now it's time for the motor. So basically, all you got to do is pry these little conical rubber plugs out of the mounting bracket, and then put a little drip tray underneath the motor, because that's full of automatic transmission fluid, and then use a wrench and disconnect the lines from the front and back of the motor. So that would be the up and the down. Well, actually, let's figure it out. Anyway, this is just an actuator. So when pressure is applied, to this fitting, the top will close. You see how the ram is all the way extended? When pressure is applied to this fitting, it will drive the ram down, and the top will open. You know. So if you were to follow this line through here to the pump, it would be the convertible top down. If you were to follow this would be convertible top up. Okay, it's just important. Well, I don't know how important it really is, but to maintain, if you were to hook this up to there and that up to here, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Your top would just be backwards, you know. But and plus your fittings probably wouldn't line up. But just remove here and there, and you're going to drip a little bit of red ATF. And I want to get that out, and I'm going to get it on the workbench. All right, I've dug into the motor, and it took me about 5 seconds, and I found the issue. So I didn't really feel like getting ATF everywhere. And the part in the gold on the right, yours may be a different color, but on mine it's gold. That's the reservoir. That's what holds the fluid. And to top it off, and you take that little black cap right there on the top. That's just a little rubber plug. You pull that out, and that's how you add fluid. This gray part, the aluminum part, is the pump mechanism, and this black part is the motor. So it's just two 9mm bolts, and you can see how long they are, and they go through. And it was mounted with the wires, you know, with the label facing up. And I see the problem immediately. The problem is that the magnets have let go. This is a magnet, and this is a magnet, and they are supposed to be securely mounted to the black cylinder, the case, and they are not. You can see that that both of them have let go, and that would explain the operation issues. So what I'm going to do is take this downstairs and get it on the workbench, and we'll look at it a little bit farther. But
All right, I've got the motor just downstairs on the bench, and I've kind of taken it apart. This is a magnet, and this is a magnet. These are not. This is the issue. Just found the problem. This is why the motor does not work. This and this are supposed to be bonded inside this cylinder. They are not supposed to come out. So that's the problem. We have to fix that. But I just kind of wanted to show you what could be wrong with your motor. These are the brushes, so you can see that there's a little spring-loaded mechanism, and there's a wire. There's a wire, copper wire, that's soldered to your red wire. Okay, the other one is soldered to your yellow wire. Okay, so basically these, when you push them in, they ride right. I believe this is called the armature. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what that's called. And when you receive when it receives power, it induces motion. Okay, these are not the brushes. The brushes are over here, and there's three. I'm basic documenting this for you as well as me. This is a little there's a little flat that engages with the hydraulic pump, and there are some washers. I've got how many do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4 of them or so, and there's a little snap ring. Sorry, you couldn't see a snap ring, but you can see all this filthy dust and everything. So I'm just going to clean, and I'm also going to clean this out. But you can see there's a little kidney cutout for your wire grommet right here. So, and then there's a little ball bearing that goes in the end of the shaft right there. So let me get these, and also what I want to do is, well, if you bonded this one over here and this one over here, the motor will just spin backwards. So it's okay. They just need to be secured such that the motor rotor, the rotor here, you can see the part that I'm touching here. You want to be centered between the magnets, you know. So this happened to me on my Crown Vic, my power seat motor. The magnet had let go. The magnet became one of them, not both of them, just one of them let go of the housing, and my power seat stopped working. So all I did was I lined it back up, glued it in there with some Gorilla Glue, let it sit overnight, and sure as shit, it worked. So that's all. So fingers crossed. I think these are I don't know, $200 or $300. So I'm just going to try and fix it for the cost of some Gorilla Glue. So bear with me. I'm just going to clean everything up. I'm going to use some brake cleaner and some soapy water and wash it and blow it dry with my air gun, and we'll reconvene in a second. Okay, if you've been hanging out with me this long, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe and notification button. It really helps the channel grow. I have cleaned all the parts with soapy water and brake cleaner. The only thing I didn't use soapy water on was the brush assembly. I just took some brake clean and sprayed it all off and dried it off with some compressed air. And there's a bushing down in there. That's a bushing, and I've checked all the connections. Everything looks good. There's nothing burned up or anything. You make sure you inspect this end plate assembly. You want to make sure your wires are intact, nothing's broken. You know, you want to make sure everything is still connected. You don't want to find any, you know, electrical burns or anything like that. You just want to make sure everything is connected where it should be, like the yellow wire soldered there, the red wire soldered there. The red goes right to this brush with the spring. This one goes in there with that spring, and then it goes to this, whatever this is. This is some kind of a contactor or something. So that's that. The housing I sprayed with some soapy water. I like to use Palmolive or Dawn or Joy, you know, some kind of grease cutting detergent. Just, you know, dish soap works good, and I cleaned it out. And then this thing, same thing, I scrubbed it down. I just make sure this is dry. You don't want, you know, water inside this, so I cleaned this out as well as I could. Don't forget about your bearing. Now the magnets, I just want to stress, these are very, very brittle. So if you drop them, or even if you squeeze them too hard, they could chip or shatter. So, and then if that happens, then you're screwed. Then you got to buy a new motor. So just be careful with these, and keep them. What I did is I looked. See how there's a 2 there. When I took it apart, you saw that the that the magnets will still magnetize to the rotor, which they shouldn't be, and that's why you can see these grooves. Those shouldn't be there, but it shouldn't really affect the motor. I mean, it might affect motor performance marginally, but the motor will still work as long as the magnets are still in one piece and look at decent shape. So the point I'm trying to make is I made note that the 2 was facing the end cap. If you installed it this way, I bet you it would still work. Just make sure, just you know, put it back together the way it came apart. So I just made sure that this little 2 faced that way, and same thing on this side. The little 2 is facing that way, and you can see that these grooves are there because this. These little plates, these are called lamination stacks. So these stacks are pressed onto this motor shaft, and then they wind it with this wire, you know. So and then you wanna inspect your wires, make sure nothing is burned, make sure nothing looks out of place. Everything here looks all right. You want to check these solder joints with your armature, make sure those look all right, make sure nothing is cracked or broken or whatever, and make sure everything's in good shape. And in mine, it looks okay. When I put this back together, I'm going to put a little bit of oil on this, and maybe a drop of oil or 2 in there, and then I'm going to put a little bit of oil on this shaft. But before I start oiling, now that everything is nice and clean, here's my Gorilla Glue, and I've got one of these rubber clamps. And if you look inside this, so just a little motor lingo for you, if this were to have the magnets bonded into it, that'd be called the stator. This is called the rotor. So we want to. Our problem is the stator broke. Essentially, you know, the magnets debonded themselves, probably due to heat cycles and just age, and the car was sitting outside for 7 years, and just hot cold condensation, dry, wintertime, summertime, springtime, and the glue that was holding the outside of this magnet to the inside of this stator case just failed. And you can see in there that you can see where the magnets were. There's where one was, and then there's a gap, and then there's where the other one was. So all I'm going to do, and there's a nice little shoulder there, I'm just going to coat the outside of this magnet with this glue, put it in there, and then clamp it gently, keyword gently. Like I said, these are very, very brittle, so don't be gentle with them, even when you're washing them. I had them in my wash tubs over there, and that's concrete, and I was very careful not to chip them, so just be careful. And this glue says it takes 24 hours to cure. You can drive the car with the top up or top down, or in my instance, the car's in pieces anyway, so I don't care if I gotta wait 2 days for the glue to dry. A day per magnet, that's totally fine with me. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna glue the magnets back in, and let them dry overnight for this one and overnight for this one. So I'll catch up with you in 2 days. Alright, as promised, it's been a couple days, and I put the motor back together, and you can see the glue there, and I put my spacers back on against the snap ring, and I didn't show you putting the rotor back into the stator because there's those 2 brushes that I was showing you earlier, and there's no way I could have done it with one hand on camera. So you just have to don't forget to put your ball bearing in the. You can either use a little dab of dielectric grease and stick it in the little recessed pocket on the shaft, or you can put it inside the bushing of the end plate, and then you have to spread the brushes and then rock your armature between there. And then what you do is you lower the stator over the rotor while making sure that you're pushing on the shaft to keep it engaged with the bushing and the end plate here. So now I'm going to go put it back in the car, and we just have to align the flats of the rotor shaft with the flats inside the pump mechanism. Okay, back in the car, and there's the inside of the, see, there's the bushing, and then you can see the little flat. Oops, I'm taking a picture. I don't mean to be taking pictures, but alright, there's the flats, so it looks like it's just about horizontal. So I'm gonna put the motor inside now. Don't forget your spacers that you took off.
All right, I got it back together. It was really a pain to get these in. You see how it's kind of at a little bit of an angle. The two holes are. That's because there's actually one hole here, and then an upper one and a lower one on the back side. So there's actually kind of two ways it can go. So it was just a little tricky to get those screws back engaged, but I got it tightened. I got my connector back in. I got my keys. Got the keys, so let's test it out. So we're going to put the ignition in, turn it to on. Fuel pump went. And then we're going to check our switch, see if it works. See, our switch works, but the pump isn't running because we have to apply the e-brake. Now let's see what happens. Undo our latches. 1, 2, and engage. That's the wrong way. Let's make the top go up. Alright, looks like we rebuilt our convertible motor for some Gorilla Glue. Okay, now I want to show you how to change the fluid, and I want to try and show you a real easy way to do it. No, that's not orange soda, that's the oil I removed. And all I did was I removed the fitting with a 13mm wrench, open end wrench, and I stuck that into my 2-liter bottle. And then I unhooked the back fitting. I unhooked it from this little clip. I brought it around like this, and I stuck them both in the bottle. And then I just took my hand and pushed the top down and pulled the top up slowly, and you'll see all the fluid just shoot right in there. Okay, so basically you have basically fully extended and retracted the hydraulic cylinders. That will, you want to check for before you change the fluid. You want to look for leaks. I have no leaks. You want to check for during yourself doing that while you're pushing the top down and up. You want to make sure everything is moving smoothly. There's no binding, and basically that's going to check your cylinders for you too. So and then what I did is I just took my some paper towels and I put them in front of the openings, and I just cycled the pump and ran the pump in both directions. So we have basically bled all of the lines, both cylinders, and we've removed all the fluid from the pump, and the pump is now dry. So the entire system is dry. Okay, so now what we're going to do is hook our fittings back up and then fill this with ATF. I'll show you how I do that in a second. You can see what I've done here. So I got this is just my outdrive pump to fill my outdrive in my boat, and it spins right onto oil bottles. And this is Dextron 3. They say Dextron 2 on the label, but I'm pretty sure that was from the 90s, and I'm pretty sure this bottle itself is fairly old. But it says right there, it replaces Dextron 2. So I would say any type of Dextron ATF, and then you just pump it in there. And then what I did is I pumped a little in, I ran the top motor in the up direction and kept filling it, just filling it, and it would just keep taking it. And then you want to fill till it just spills out the little filler. And then I would cycle the top one more time, up and down, and then check your level and make sure it's not dry. Make sure it's pretty close to the bottom of the fill plug, and then put your cap back in. And that's how you fill the top, and I'll show you how it works when it's got fresh fluid that's full. Got it all full, got the plug back in, got all the oil I spilled cleaned up, and let's just run through the top. Already set, open. It makes those squeak noise right around here. I gotta give it some oil, like in the hinge, right there. But all right, there she is all the way down and back up. Goes a little slow, but everything is nice and smooth, and it's not making that horrible noise anymore. And all right, so I think we fixed it. So that's all I have to show you. So we went over the wiring system, your relays, your convertible switch, your parking brake switch.
I showed you how to change the convertible top switch. We went over how the pump works, how to fix a pump, how the motor runs and operates, how to fix the motor that could be bad. We went over how to bleed the system. We went over how to check the function of the hydraulic cylinders. I didn't go over how to change them because mine were good. If yours are bad, when you were bleeding, if you were trying to put the top down, one side would be easily moving, and the other side would be very difficult, and that would probably indicate a broken cylinder, a seized one, or you would see leaks. You'd see fluid leaking out of here, or down here maybe. So that's really all I have to show you. And hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching, and subscribe, and notification bell, comment, share, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.